Last time on D&D, featuring Adrian Silverstrength, the human paladin, Apostrophe, the Goliath cleric, Dickpoop, the elven wizard, Morsus Firebeard, the hill dwarf cleric, and Rex James, the bronze dragonborn bard. The party decides to take a long rest here. Then, they head down the pulley system, which creaks and groans, sending echoes throughout the cavern. When they reach the bottom, they discover a number of deceased miners here, who appear to have been brutally attacked. There's also some very large, insect-like creatures that none of them have seen before. These things are the size of dogs, and they apparently were slain by what appears to be like mining picks and whatever weapons essentially these miners had with them to defend themselves. The party decides that they need to keep exploring the mine in search of what these insects are and how to put an end to them. The large cavern beyond is bleached in darkness. There is a sound of lapping water, potentially from a large underground lake. There's also a faint sound of chanting, an eerie sound that sounds like 1,000 voices, all talking at once. The party cautiously moves forward and discovers something known as a gibbering mouther. This is a large slime-like creature with 1,000 eyes and 1,000 mouths. The party manages to defeat the gibbering mouther, and after a short while is confronted by 7 cultists of Razatan. Razatan, in my world, is the god of slime. He essentially believes that all people should basically be a single-celled organism, because once you become a single-celled organism, you can basically connect and bond to others, and there's no thought of anything else except for being one with one another. So there's no thoughts of war or greed or anything like that, not even love. The cultists, seeing the party, ask if they're here to partake in the ritual. The party decides to play along with the idea to see what might be going on. Morsus casts basically a spell to basically hit the cultists. His belief as a hill dwarf for his character background is that anyone who doesn't worship the mother goddess believes that anything that they do is heresy. And once he gets to this room and sees what they're doing, he is overwhelmed by the amount of heresy he is seeing, and he basically casts a spell to initiate combat. Adrian, who is the paladin, rushes in, but is unfortunately overwhelmed by the number of cultists that are there, and he's knocked unconscious and begins to bleed out. The leader is taken down, as well as the other cultists, as they perish at the hand of the rest of the party. Apostrophe is able to basically stabilize Adrian and brings him back up to 1 hit point of health. Adrian then uses his lay on hands on himself to give him some additional hit points. Dick finds a dagger with a green gem, and this gem has like this mist flowing inside of it. And as soon as he picks it up, he hears,
"You destroy Razatan. You will become one with Razatan."
After disposing the bodies, the party moves on. They enter into the next cavern. They see that it is a large lake here. Part of this cavern, however, is collapsed. There's a small hole that goes to the north that would require anyone that is medium or larger to basically have to squeeze through this tiny hole. On the other side, they can hear the clicking sounds beyond that hole, and it sounds like a bunch of excited crickets. There is blood all over the floor near this hole. As they continue moving along, they find other bodies of other miners throughout, and they are in various states of decay. Some of them looked as if they've been killed perhaps weeks ago. Others look like their flesh has been pulled from their bones, as if something has devoured them. The smell of decay grows stronger and stronger as the party moves on. They continue down the path, and eventually the cavern splits. They can see that one path looks like no one has traveled down that in a very long time. And the party decides this is a path they want to take to see what is going on and why no one has taken this path in a long time. Perhaps the miners know that down this path is danger. As they continue down this hall, they do discover that some of these caverns open up to what used to be essentially resting rooms for some of the miners. And they find a number of hay beds essentially that are in various states of disarray. When they search, there is nothing of interest to find. There's no treasure, no nothing, no clues here. Examining a little bit more, they continue down and they find another room in a similar state, where it appears to have been basically a resting room for some of the miners who were working down in this path that was no longer being used, but it's another room that looks like it's basically in a state of disarray. In this room, they find a number of unusual webs. Doing a nature check, none of them are able to determine what kind of webbing it is. It's certainly from no giant spider that they're aware of. Dick attempts to use a spell to burn the web, but because of the moisture and the thickness of this web, it does not burn easily. However, the light from the spell going off does attract something else. The clicking sounds that they heard back at the other side have now become much louder, and it comes from further down this path, the path that no one was traveling down. and suddenly the party finds themselves attacked by these large insects known as chitine. When Dick throws a dagger at one of them, he critical fails and it veers off and actually hits the paladin, Adrian, instead. Adrian, who's already taking a number of damage from fighting the cultists. It is, however, a quick battle, and the party manages to get another rest with one person always at the door, basically watching to ensure that no clicking sounds can be heard, and they rotate their shifts and all manage to get a long rest in. They continue down this path that has not been traveled down in a long time, and they come to a dead end where there are a number of dead rodents all over the place. And as they look, there is an unusual looking chicken here. Dick begins to look at it, and he is very, very confident that what he is looking at is not a chicken because of the length and the size, but it's actually a cockatrice. It doesn't appear aggressive and actually responds positively to rations. It appears to be the thing that was eating these rodents. However, when Morsus offers some of the hyena meat that they got back at the entrance of the cavern, the cockatrice actually responds very violently. And that's when Dick recalls that when they were looking at the meat, something seemed a little off on the meat. Before anyone realizes what's happened, the cockatrice manages to hit Rex Jams, and Rex Jams fails his saving throw and is turned to stone. The party renders the cockatrice unconscious, but Apostrophe decides to kill it and attempt to cook it. The party realizes that they have to wait for Rex James's body to return to flesh, thanks to Dick's knowledge of the cockatrice. So the party essentially makes camp here, waiting for 24 hours, knowing that they can't carry their friend's body, made of stone, through this cave. While camping in the small corner, throughout the night they continue to hear the sounds of cultists all throughout the cavern, and they also hear the sounds of the chittering of the bugs. They realize there is definitely more in here to find.